Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our live workshop Q&A, Practical Sound Healing Applications for Relieving Stress and Anxiety. I'm Josh Wise. I'm the Senior Director of Education at the Shift Network. I'm really honored to be hosting today's program, bringing you speaker, author, and music therapist, Christine Stevens, and award-winning producer, composer, author, and musician, Barry Goldstein. We're very excited to be able to announce a powerful year-long program with Christine and Barry and others for practitioners and aspiring professionals. We'll share more about our Sacred to Sound Healer training program later in this event. So we have a full hour with Christine and Barry today, and I'd like to dive right in. Then at the end of our time together, we'll share how you can make a bigger commitment to your own transformation in this upcoming Sacred Sound Healer training program. And we'll leave some time for Q&A with Christine and Barry. Before we get into the workshop, I'd like to introduce Christine and Barry. Christine Stevens is a music therapist, speaker, and author of Music Medicine and The Healing Drum Kit, and the founder of Upbeat Drum Circles. She's been featured on NBC, PBS, Discovery Health, and Living Better TV. Christine has worked with Fortune 500 companies, survivors of disasters, and Iraqi refugee women. She serves as a musical ambassador of peace. She teaches a variety of online training programs, including Awaken Your Rhythm at the Shift Network, which has served hundreds of people from over 35 countries. Most recently, her pilot study on sound healing and music therapy during COVID was published in Music and Medicine, showing that sound helped reduce pain, discomfort, and stress with enduring effects. Christine's commitment to love, beauty, and harmony, and the reciprocity of offering music to nature continues to guide her sound healing practice and courses with the Shift Network. Barry Goldstein's musical experience spans many styles and genres, from co-producing the Grammy Award-winning track 69 Freedom Special with Les Paul for Best Rock Instrumental in 2005, to providing ambient music for Shirley MacLaine. In addition, he has composed and produced music for television, film, major record labels, and top 10 recording artists. Barry's music is being used in hospitals, hospices, cancer centers, and medical practices. In addition, Barry has worked with the father of biohacking, Dave Asprey, and reached the Billboard Top 10 New Age albums with New York Times bestselling authors Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Daniel Amen, Neil Donald Walsh, and Anita Moorjani. His best-selling book, The Secret Language of the Heart, has become a go-to manual for utilizing music beyond art and entertainment. It provides over 50 groundbreaking studies that assist the reader in using music to improve their health and quality of life. It is my sincere honor to welcome both Christine and Barry to our workshop today. Welcome.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks for having us.
Wow, it's so great to see so many of you out there. I see some names I recognize from our drum sangha and from our flute courses. Morag in Scotland. Hello. Catherine in England. Nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, we are so excited to have such a great gathering today. And Christine and Barry, thank you for making the time. The two of you are both legends here at the Shift Network, and clearly legends in this field and in the work that you do. So thank you. Thanks for being here. I wanted to start our conversation, Barry, by asking you, how did you get into this field of sound healing?
Josh, it wasn't planned, and initially my background was as a music producer, type A in New York City, and taking 100 hours to produce a 4-minute pop song. And I don't know how many people out there can relate to this, but when you have a vision and you suddenly move into that vision, but it's not exactly what you thought it was going to be. And so all I wanted my whole life was to be a record producer, and then I got to that space, and it was just so many timelines and deadlines and stress. And I started to lose my love for music. So in a quest to reconnect with that 14-year-old kid who, sat on the edge of his bed with his guitar and was writing songs, I decided to do the reverse of everything that I was doing, which was, very strategic production, very planned out. What would happen if I decided to, instead of compose, to decompose with the musical process? So I did some research. I knew I wanted to come back to my heart. And what I found many years ago, this is before we were talking about like heart coherence per se, was that our heart at a relaxed state beats between 60 to 70 beats per minute. What would happen if I set my metronome to 60 beats per minute and just allowed the music to come through me? And so that's what I did. I started taking these hour-long journeys that I thought no one was going to listen to. There was not a lot of melody going on. There were hour-long pieces of music. And really, it helped me move into a meditative state during the process. And I realized that I was connecting to something beyond myself in this process, and it acted as therapy for me. Little did I know that 30 years later, people would be literally falling asleep to this music, which at that time I considered a really big insult because I was a rock musician. And yeah, started with friends rippling out, using them with their parents who had Alzheimer's or dementia, couldn't get to sleep at night, to massage therapists. And before you know it, there was this whole other area that I decided to move into. So it really found me more than me finding it. It was what it was and continues to be an experiment. And I think looking at it that way and through the eyes of the curious child, that we don't know everything, we're constantly learning, and there's so many things that still need to be unveiled, but we're at an exciting point in sound because it's coming more into mainstream. So for people who are listening out there who are moving into this field, you're at a great time, because 30 years ago, when I was talking about music and healing, people looked at me like I had three heads. So I'm sure Christine could probably relate to that, in terms of doing this for a while. And that's how it started for me, Josh.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's I love eh, how you said that you didn't find it, but it found you. It was that as though it was calling to you. Christine, I'd love to hear a little bit of your background, how you entered into sound healing.
Well, I failed percussion almost in college. I couldn't play the paradiddles and hold the sticks, and I was getting my music therapy degree. And then I went to a drum circle and put my hands on a conga. And 3 hours went by like 3 minutes, and I was hooked. And all of a sudden, I changed that limiting belief that I had been carrying, that I didn't have rhythm because I couldn't read the percussion music and hold the sticks and do all these techniques. And it was very transformational for me, that first experience. And I was going around going, what is this called? What is this thing we're doing? And these were a bunch of psychologists that were working with Babatunde Olatunji at Omega. And they right away said, come every month. And I was driving 3 hours to Syracuse, New York every month to go to this drum circle. And I finally said, I'm tired of driving. I'm just going to start one of these. That road led me to Remo Drum Company. And so Remo hired me in 2000. I was the first music therapist to work in a drum manufacturing plant. And I got to work there, and everybody kind of looked at me like, what are you doing? And Remo hadn't told anyone he was going to hire me. So I literally showed up at work, and a whole bunch of sales teams looking at me like, what is she doing here? So basically Remo Belli, who founded Remo Drum Company, he and I endorsed their drums. He basically sent me out. This is in 2000. So 24 years ago, he started sending me to yoga conferences. He started sending me to all these places. I would have these Remo drum booths in these yoga retreats and music therapy conferences. And back then, we didn't even use the word healing. It was like a sort of an iffy word. But we had that study published in 2000 with Dr. Barry Bittman did the blood samples. And because of that study showing that drumming for an hour changed cellular biology, it was simultaneously my participation in Remo. I'm very grateful to that position I held for 4 years. And then just my own practice of, certainly going to Iraq and drumming in a war zone and, all the places that my path as a disaster music therapist led me and really tested my skill set. It's sort of what I was born to do. And I think it did find me very much like you, Barry, where I didn't resonate with performing. I was transforming. I was reforming. I was like, I'm not about the entertainment. I'm about this shift in music therapy or social work I also studied. And I think that's what's so exciting about sound healing. It's very interdisciplinary. And it's like, I feel like we were joking about how we could collaborate when we were just in the green room. I feel like when we go to like this program you've created at Shift Network, everybody brings their piece to this. And it's very holistic in that way. And there's space for all disciplines to join this field.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that, for the background of your story and how you've gotten to this place right now. And I recognize that we've titled this workshop, sound healing and stress and anxiety. So I do want to bring our conversation now to stress and anxiety, which are definitely things that I think a lot of people are dealing with and facing in today's world of uncertainty. Barry, we'll begin with you. How can sound healing support or help to relieve stress and anxiety?
Well, I think the story that I told at the beginning is comes into play here as well. So when things like timelines and deadlines come in, they're external stresses that affect us, but how we deal with that internally is more the discussion about anxiety. So something is, when we experience stress, something is taking us out of our natural rhythm and taking us out of synchrony, of the rhythm of ourself. And so music is such a great way to come back into it, and sound healing, because we can easily entrain back to what I call our unique heart code. So each one of us has a specific vibration and a specific frequency that's unique to us. And although we all have a heartbeat, we all have a breath, yours is unique to you, Christine's is unique to her, mine is unique to me. And when we're in stress, we come out of that. So sound and music can bring the awareness and the focus back onto coming into rhythm. And it works with resonance as well. So when we're playing an instrument, ultimately we're resonating with ourselves, with our own internal frequencies. And by tapping into the power of resonance, how one frequency amplifies another, we can move back into balance. And by learning what takes us out is just as important as about what puts us in. So, and I think that's where the inner work comes in, of dealing with stress and anxiety, is constantly, this is a life's work. It's not just like playing an instrument. It's discovering what's taking you out of balance as well. So bringing that awareness, journaling, hey, what took me out when I was in? Is it that same person who I have that phone conversation with who brings in that stress or anxiety? And learning to use music as a tool to budget our energy more effectively. So ultimately, we have more time and energy for whatever our dreams and our life's mission is.
That's really beautiful. I like that phrase, budget our energy. I could use some energy budgeting myself. That I really love how you said that. Christine, I'm curious your thoughts on sound healing and stress and anxiety.
Well, I feel like it starts with my personal practice. And every day I really start my day with music and sound. I have a singing bowl I really love, like on my altar. And it just feels like I'm awakening into a sacred day, just setting my energy that way. I play my guitar, I play the drum, I play the flute. I have a few different instruments that are on my altar, and I can't tell you what a difference that makes. If I can just know what it feels like to be in harmony with myself, all the things Barry you described so articulately, it's like I first have to like know what that home base is. And then I can definitely say, including shadow drumming, where I'm just banging on that drum and releasing that emotion. I feel like there's important things that sound does to regulate stress. And I maybe can just take 1 minute to show these two slides because I wanted to share two great research studies. Yeah, I mentioned Dr. Barry Bittman, who in 2001 published this study. It was the first study done with a control group with blood samples. And I was really grateful to be part of helping Remo understand and promote this study. And even it's exciting that it was done with non-drummers. And because we didn't want people that we knew loved drumming. So these were people who didn't know anything about drumming that we studied. And the group drumming experience for 1 hour changed cellular biology and reduced stress as indicated by cytokine activity, natural killer cell activity. So that was a really exciting demonstration. Next slide. And then I've mentioned that I just published this study in April in this Journal of Music and Medicine, an international journal. And what we saw was a significant reduction in pain, stress, and anxiety during COVID in a 1 year online program in 30-minute sessions. And what Barry said about the tempo, I think you said 60 to 70. Yes, okay. So tempo was really important. I have an app on my phone, Metro Timer, so I could be testing to make sure I was playing in that kind of relaxing realm. And I really learned. It was like a learning curve for me in this year of doing this program. I saw 4 people every Monday for a year. Maybe somebody on this call was part of this. We help people with burnout. Anybody know what burnout is? Right? So that's a stress condition. And we helped people with COVID, long COVID, loss, complicated loss, and vaccine anxiety. But what was really exciting, and you can take this slide down because I just want to look at everyone to share this, is that 92% of people reported lasting benefits. And it just actually, in this moment, talking with you all, it just occurs to me how similar that is with my personal morning practice, that for 30 minutes, we helped people feel they could breathe more easily. They could feel a relaxation during whatever stress we're facing, because wellness is not the absence of a problem. It's being able to handle our problems, right? So sound is, I'm 60 now this year, and I feel like this field is just endless. I keep improving. I keep getting new insights. I keep coming up with new rhythm patterns or learning new things. And it's just this feeling I have of excitement that we have what's really important, which is an evidence base, that sound practices can reverse cellular biology levels of stress and can help people in the middle of a global pandemic in ways that didn't give people any other relief. And just to end what I'm sharing, it was amazing that when I did get COVID, some 3 people who had come to my free clinic program contacted me and offered me sound sessions. So it really comes around and goes around, right? And I could feel personally how powerful that was when I was in the first couple days of COVID to feel the sound. It just helped me breathe. It helped me feel, especially someone, Aaron Gannon playing the monochord. I felt this heartstring opening, And so I think that this is a great topic because we know that anxiety, pain, stress, these are problems in the world that keep growing today. And we have tools that can help that.
I love it. Christine, thank you so much. Thank you for the study that you did. Not only did you do these sessions, but you tracked the results and connected with these people and made a lasting impact. And then now we have that record going forward to show just how effective this work truly can be. It impacts us on a cellular level, really impacts our body, impacts our mood. Barry, I'm wondering, could you talk a little bit more about brainwave entrainment and how music can impact our brainwaves?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the amazing thing now is that we're learning more and more. I mean, science is catching up to spirituality. It's not the other way around. These are things that we've known for thousands of years, but we're just seeing more studies surface now because there's an interest out there. And brainwaves, I mean, most of us are in high beta most of our days. So how can we slow our brainwaves down? How can we move into a state where we're more peaceful? And Josh, I'll share a story with you. When my dad was passing, he was actually dying of cancer. He was in an incoherent state. And when I went to see him, I didn't know it was going to be the last time. I heard an inner voice saying to me that I needed to chant to my dad. And my dad was from Brooklyn, and he was definitely not a guy who believed in sound healing. I'll just leave it at that. And so for me, that was a little bit scary. Talk about stress and anxiety. When spirit comes in and says, okay, we want you to chant to a person who didn't believe this his whole life as he's going to be transitioning. So I closed my eyes after I had an argument with that inner voice for a few minutes. And I felt guided to place my hand on top of my dad's head and just heard my own voice emanating the sound of Om, which of course I had studied about Om for many years in terms of doing this work. I didn't think I'd be chanting it to my dad. And I knew he was in high beta. His eyes were moving around in his head. But when I opened my eyes, he was staring directly at me. And I felt a heat that had emanated from the top was emanating from the top of his head when I started to chant. And I know if he knew, but I knew that I was opening up his crown chakra and that I was connecting him to the divine so that he could have an easier transition and on his path forward in his next stages. And when he opened his eyes, I was able to have a conversation. He was looking right at me. So we're talking about brain waves and the ability and the power of sound. In that moment, I knew that that one beautiful tone that's said to contain every sound in the universe had took my dad into a place where he was bridging his life into his passing. And when I wrote my book, I knew that I wanted to be able to give more studies about how sound and music can work with our brainwaves. I found a study called the limbic deactivation by chanting Om. And what this study showed was that one group who chanted the sound of S, the fMRI study showed absolutely no activity going on that showed any changes in the brain. But the group that chanted Om actually created limbic deactivation. And when we're in limbic deactivation, we're in a state of inner peace, in a state of calm, and many areas of the brain lit up by chanting Om. So I later presented this study to a group of 200 doctors and then asked them if they'd be willing to stand up and chant with me after giving them this study. So, and they did. And I mean, that's where we are at now in terms of this work, because people are willing to take chances, and we're finding out the power of sound to slow our brainwaves down. I can get into a lot of things that we're going to get into in the course itself with the shift. Binaural beats, working with drumming as well, is shown to bring us into alpha brainwave states and theta brainwave states and be able to target out of specific states, as well as chanting the Kirtan Kriya Just so many different ways to slow our brainwaves down or target our brainwaves for people who don't want to be relaxed and they want to move into more productive brainwave states, focus, or they want to move into more inspirational states. We have all the technologies with sound now that allow us to get there. So we're really seeing a combination of ancient and new technologies come into play, and a lot of combinations. We're seeing neurocardiology, which is now the study of how the brain and the heart relate to each other as well, heart coherence and brain coherence together. So again, just so many opportunities here to break new ground in this area.
I love it. I love it. Barry, thank you so much for sharing that story about your father and for having the courage in that moment to listen to that inner voice that was guiding you. I know that takes a lot of courage to show up in that way and do what's being asked of you. Uh, and so, yeah, thank you for sharing that, and also thank you for your courage to have 200 doctors stand up and chant with you. That's amazing. The inroads that have been made that's even possible today. And
Josh, they asked me if I was an MD, because they weren't used to musicians speak. So I said, yes, I am. I'm actually your musical director. So
nice. I love it. I love it. Well, will you be our director right now, our musical director, and guide us in an experiential process, Barry?
sure, sure, I would love to. So I'm just going to preface it a little bit by, for me, the first step and my first step in becoming a sound healer was getting more familiar with my own internal sounds, which I call our internal orchestra. And just like an orchestra, we have a rhythm section in our physical bodies, which is our heart. And imagine, if you will, an orchestra where everyone tried to play whatever they wanted in different tempos with nothing to regulate what that would sound like. So it would be fairly dissonant and incoherent in terms of what would show up on our EKGs in terms of spectra in our heart space. But when you have a set tempo that is dictating the rhythm for the rest of our body, we move into what is called coherence, which are smooth, orderly rhythms that are dictated by our heart. So the Institute of Heart Math studies this and shows that by moving to elevated emotions, such as kindness, compassion, and gratitude, we can begin to create these coherent heart rhythms. But in addition to that, what they don't talk as much about is the role of music in terms of getting us there. So again, moving back to the ability for our heart to entrain with an external tempo. So we have an internal tempo, which our heart is creating, and an external tempo in the music. And when these two synchronize, it's called entrainment, the ability for our internal heartbeat to synchronize with music. So we can target these states. And that's what I was talking about when I took my journey at 60 beats per minute. So when we combine this with music and elevated emotions such as kindness, compassion, it really sets the groundwork to do some great work with our heart and to tap into the sacredness of our heart and what that entails, reconnecting with our own unique vibration. So I'm going to take you through a very short journey. It's going to be about 4 minutes. The music was created specifically for this process. It's called the heart codes. And it's really about tapping into your own unique heart code. And I'm going to just slip my headphones on and begin. And I'm going to invite you to place your hands on your heart for a moment. And when you place your hands there, place in there from the awareness that just like there are sacred sites in the world, that when you place your hands on your heart, it's the sacred site that's within your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And just allow yourself to bring your awareness to your heart. Allow yourself to feel your heartbeat. Give yourself a big breath in through your heart and a big breath out through your heart with a big sigh out. So the heart is the rhythm section within your body, and your breath is the wind section. Beautiful flutes and oboes. And as you breathe in, you bring in the essence of all that is around you. As you breathe out, release any stress you're holding. And that your heart is your home. Home is in the heart. And home contains the word Om within it, every sound in the universe. So bring in a big breath in through the heart. On the out breath, we're just going to use the word home. Home. Big breath in and release. Home. And just feeling that in the center of your heart. Bring in an image of a person, place, or thing that brings you into the space of love. Might be a pet, it could be a loved one, it could be a place in nature. And bring that into your heart space. On the out breath, feel your heart's energy expanding. Not just connecting to your physical body, but connecting to the field around you. Bring a big breath in from the cosmic energy, the unlimited field of all creation. And then release a breath all the way down through the bottom of your feet, connecting you to the earth. You are grounded to the divine feminine, and you are surrendered to the divine Father. And integrate that with one final breath in through the heart. And exhale. And for a moment, just feel your own heartbeat. Feel your own breath. No matter what stresses or challenges you have in your day, you can always come back home to your own unique vibration, your internal symphony that starts with your heartbeat and your breath. And now you can just gently move your feet and your toes, your hands and your fingers, and then you can just gently open your eyes and feel more present in the room.
Thank you, Barry. Pure gold.
Thank you.
Pure gold. Thank you so much. I love the bringing our awareness to that inner rhythm section and the inner wind section, the heartbeat and the breath. Such powerful tools we have at our disposal anytime.
That's it. Our internal sounds. So getting to know those on a deeper level is really important as a sound healer. Knowing where you hold dissonance, where you find harmony in your own physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies is really, really important. You're not just playing an external instrument, it's connecting to your internal as well. So that's why I love starting with our inner sounds.
Yeah, the instrument of the body. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are truly blessed because now we're going to turn the time over to Christine to guide us on through an experiential practice as well. Christine, I'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you so much, Barry. I'm always amazed how short of a time, the technical time, in just 4 minutes or something that we can. It's interesting because when I studied people drumming, it was the same, 4 minutes. It was at about 3 minutes, I saw they began to entrain to the beat, but at 4 minutes, something shifted. Their breathing shifted, their shoulders dropped. There's a magic in duration, that similar duration of entrainment. Well, I would just like to invite us to continue on the inner heart journey with the drum that I use a lot, which is the 22-inch frame drum. Oh, good. People are commenting. They feel peaceful and grounded. So what I would like to invite you all to do, I call this a rhythm diagnostic, is to hold still and resist moving to the beat. And the reason I'm going to have you do that is I want you to wait until you feel the rhythm in your body. You might feel it in your heart center. You might feel it in your pinky. You might feel it in your left hip. It's really up to you. But you won't know unless you play with this contrast of holding still so that we allow the rhythm to wake up some area of our body that needs rhythmic energy today. And when you feel that, you can start to maybe tap or move or feel that energetically. I'll play for about 4 minutes. So hold still and don't tap your foot or bob your head. Those are the two things people do to the beat unconsciously. And then go ahead, and when you do feel that, and it might surprise you, wherever you feel it, and that's sort of what we talked about in the beginning, that, sound healing found us. So let the rhythm speak to your body, and then just notice it's information, it's diagnostic information for you today. I guess my back of my spine needs a little movement today. All right, let's just play with that. the rhythm. And then once you've identified that place, you can move your body a little bit effortlessly, like let the rhythm guide that. Might just be rocking, might just be wiggling. And then as we take a nice, amazing deep breath, just put your hand to your heart, and as if berries in my practice were one practice, just bringing it back to the internal rhythm section, which is the heart, which is all the neurons and drumming. It just feeds our cells and all the subtle movement that's going on internally, because we all have an inner drum. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Christine. I was fascinated to see how hard it was to remain still. Like, with the rhythm going, the body wants to move. Thank you for deepening my awareness of that. Just how powerful that the tool of sound is to get us moving. It made me start getting me thinking about, when you're at a concert and that song starts playing and 1,000 people start moving in unison. Sound is so powerful to get us to move and in different ways. Thank you for exploring those rhythms with us and for bringing me even deeper into my heart. I appreciate it.
Me too.
Most definitely. We've got a good group of people who have all gathered here today, and I do want to open it up for some questions. So if you're tuning in with us here today, please feel free to chime in the chat with any questions that you might have for Christine and Barry. We are curating questions from a few different places, and so we might not get to yours, but we would love to see what questions you have. And I'm also seeing some good comments in the chat about feeling vibrations and tingling in the hands and on the right side of the head. Feeling more peaceful and grounded, a powerfully relaxing addition. Thank you both for the realignment. Such powerful and simple tools. It's really remarkable how simple and profound sound healing modalities can be. So thank you both for sharing these these tools. And one question we've had come in is, can sound healing be combined with other forms of therapy for better results? Christine, I'll turn it over to
I know, it's
you.
so funny. I would definitely say that in my, 20 some years of training people, I love how people then write to me that, for example, a social worker who now drums with clients to begin the first 10 minutes, to just get them more present and to allow emotional connection, to build trust. I'm thinking of a beautiful spiritual director who came to one of my trainings who now uses the drum in her sermons and also in her preparation. So I think also that it's just so like example of Barry singing with the doctors. I mean, imagine if a hospital started every morning with all the doctors doing an ohm. So it is almost the great combination. I would say there are a few places of contraindication, and that is important to mention on this call because we don't want to be in that place of sound goes everywhere and works for everything and everyone. And I'm thinking of when I would work with Alzheimer's clients, and some people would get more agitated. So I would have to say that it's really important that, yes, it blends with whatever background, especially coaching fields that are really up and coming and available to people. But it's always good. Like when I did my study for a year, I always played every sound just for a moment and tested if it was a good sound for the person, because we do know the preference is significant. So it's just good to know. I think sort of in the field of trauma-informed care, it is a very important aspect to confirm that that's a useful tool in that population.
Yes. Yeah, I love that approach as well, especially with sound as medicine. I call this acousticeuticals. So just like we have pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, right? Acousticeuticals can be very supportive in lots of things. And sleep, right? We have 75 million people in this country that have sleeping challenges. And transitioning into our busy days into, more sacred nights. Sleep is supposed to be our time where we connect with spirit, but most of us don't take the time to wind down. So it's very complementary to sleep. But again, I love what Christine said because it's individualized medicine that's the most powerful medicine. And if we were prescribing, for example, a new pharmaceutical for someone, we wouldn't just assume that that pharmaceutical is going to work for that person. We would give them the smallest manageable dosage first and see if it agrees with that person before we move into fully prescribing. And I think it's the same thing with sound, that we need to look at dosage as well. Less is more. You don't have to be on a sound bed with low frequencies, moving through your body for 2 hours. That might be too much for some people. Or, when you're dealing with a person who's in psychosis and their brainwaves are in high beta states, research has shown that listening to relaxing music is not going to be helpful for them because you have to meet people where they're at. So finding their preferred music first could be a way to bridge into that. But again, I think that it's an important conversation to have in this form of sound healing, that it's not the same for everyone across the board. I think we can tend to want to move into panaceas, like all music at this frequency is better than all music at that frequency. You know, there's a lot to more complexities to people's personal preferences, their memories, the particular compositions. There's so much that goes into what makes a piece of music healing for each person. And so I think that's where you come in as sound healers, is finding what resonates with you and meeting your clients as well. I ask three important questions. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? And what piece of music or sound technique is going to assist in taking people there? Because music's a bridge. So that's really important. We're all not starting in the same place and we all don't want to end in the same place. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to be able to really fine tune over the next 20 years is making this more individualized.
I love it. Beautiful. Acousticeuticals. Wow.
I have it trademarked already, Josh, so don't get me any.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Good. You should. That is so good. Here's another question. Do you think that mixing recorded music with live music is as effective as live only?
Well, I have been using different apps to support my live playing. I did that a lot with the online program too. First, with the drumming, I love to use a drum play along track. I've made a lot of these tracks and they go for 7 to 12 minutes. And I just like use them to jumpstart a group into entrainment. And then once a group goes, I just fade it out. So I know that works really well. It works really well for people with anxiety about drumming. So they hear that rhythm and then they can just jump in. And in fact, I was at the AARP conference one year in Chicago with NAM and Yamaha. And I set up a little booth with a headphone, a djembe, and my CD of play along tracks. And you should have seen these seniors, at AARP just going off because they were just playing to the tracks. And I think too, I like to use the ambient sound apps like Ocean Sounds. I use drones a lot, the drone, which is the 1 in 5. I play my flute to that a lot. So that's how I've incorporated those.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for me, the important part within recorded music is that subtle energies are also recorded. So our intentions and our emotions are all recorded. When you hear a singer and their voice cracks because they hit an emotion in their voice, it's recorded and you hear that. But it doesn't have to be just a sound, it's also the subtle energies that are in the room. So I think that if you're going to combine music and recorded music with live music, to make sure that your intentions and emotions coming into that recording room are in a sacred space and that your emotions are aligned with your intentions. You can have the intention to be in a space of love, but if you just had an argument with a coworker or in a relationship, and you're bringing that into your room, everything goes into the recording. And that recording, combining the recording and the live music together, create a field of energy on its own. Every recording that you have, Christine, that goes out there, that has a life of its own and carries its own field. As you said, probably people have healed with that. They've moved energy, they've moved grief. People have different history with those because they carry their own unique field. Everything that's recorded in there. And I had the blessing of working with Les Paul, the inventor of the electric guitar. He understood this. He actually invented multi-track recording, and he knew everything was going on to those unique takes that he was creating, all the frequencies, everything that's going on. So that's really important in moving into a recorded space. Even though there's no one there, I always visualize the people who are going to be receiving it ahead of time and sending that energy into the recording.
I love that. Yeah, I really love that. Thank you so much. We have time for one more question. What advice do you have for someone who is just starting out on this path?
I seem to be jumping in first, Barry. I hope that's okay.
That's awesome.
I would say begin with your life, begin with your sound practice. And that's the first step. And then I think come to this training with us. I think really what a rare thing that you have access to this variety of faculty in this program. I think Josh is going to talk more about it, but I love what the Shift has put together and that it's online. But I really feel like it's one of these training programs that it begins in our lives. We are the instrument. And we get to learn from these tools how to tune ourselves. Here's a quick example. Eileen McCusick was at the sound healing conference we all did together. I was always like, tuning forks, I don't get it. Now I can't tell you how much it saves me to travel with the tuning fork from Eileen because I'm in a different place. I'm in a more maybe subtle frequency. I need this tuning fork. Been in airports in between flights using it, and people walk up and want me to use it on them. So I think it's like so exciting that we get to learn this in our lives as much as we get to benefit others.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Christine. Barry, anything you would add to that?
Yeah, I think the importance of creating a program is definitely a first thing, because you're not just acquiring knowledge. We're implementing it to ultimately what we've learned for thousands of years is most of us start this journey to have a deeper relationship with spirit, with God, with the divine, whatever you choose to call it. And you don't just get that from books, you have to get that from experiences and having your own experience. What I think is helpful is um, be open to asking more questions than finding answers. Questions, I love the word questions, it has the words quest in it. And so when we're looking to be curious and we take that on with really, I don't know that much, as opposed to I know it all, that we take on the curiosity of a child hearing an instrument. Have you ever seen a child hear a drum for the first time, or experience a singing bowl, that awe? And if you can embrace it on your path to be in a state of awe and a quest, it's not just something that is a hobby, but something is a way, it's a way of living. And I'm sure Christine, lives this in her life. As she said, she plays her instruments every day. I connect every day when people ask me if I meditate. My compositional process is my meditation, because I'm connecting and moving into that state where I'm in a meditative state. So it's really living the sound healing adventure, that it's not going to stop with this course. It's going to be something that has found you, and it won't let go of you because you're going to love it so much. So
Beautiful. So beautiful. I love it. I love what you shared about that childlike awe and curiosity. I was with my son a few days ago, and we were playing a Native American flute, and his fingers are too small for the holes. And so he didn't worry about the holes at all. He just played it and was doing these trills and, making these magical sounds that I never could have even imagined, because he wasn't in his own way. And I really love what you just shared there, Barry. We have a lot of questions still in the chat. We're going to put together an email with some different answers to these questions. So we'll be sending out an email with answers to the questions. We are coming to the conclusion of our time together, and it's just been such a beautiful time. As we've talked about, as we've alluded to, there is this sacred sound healer training that is coming up. And so I want to tell you a little bit more about this. Christine and Barry are two of our beloved faculty members in this sacred sound healer training. There are lots of other incredible teachers, John Stewart Reed, Eileen McCusick, and many, many more. You can learn more about this at soundhealertrainingprogram.com. That's soundhealertrainingprogram.com. The program spans 14 months. It begins October 21st of 2024. It includes live weekly sessions and breakout groups, live integration sessions, live Q&A sessions, pre-recorded science and theory teaching sessions for you to access and repeat at your convenience, guest faculty workshops throughout the year. The entire training costs $5,000 when paid in full. And we're offering a $500 discount if you register by August 15th, which brings the total to just $4,500. If you enroll by midnight on August 20th, you'll receive a special teaching from the brothers Corin, who are also part of the training. This special teaching is titled "Use the Voice as a Tool for Self-Discovery." If you prefer, we have a couple of different payment plan options, and you'll see those details laid out at soundhealertrainingprogram.com. You'll also see on the page that if you have further questions after reviewing this page, you can set up a time to have a free information session so we can get all of your questions answered. And because of the rigor and the intimacy of the program, we'll be limiting the number of students to ensure personal attention and maximum impact. If you decide you want to join this amazing opportunity, you'll first undergo an application process, which you can find at soundhealertrainingprogram.com. I've been involved with the current training that we have going on, and we are about 12 months into that program. And it has been remarkable to see the transformation in people's lives, that even in an online format, where we have students from all around the world who are connecting over Zoom, it is remarkable to see them blossom and emerge, as who they are as sound healers. They're finding courage, that courage that you demonstrated, Barry, with your father. I've seen so many people step into their courage to be who they are, and hear the call, to step into this field of sound healing. So if you are feeling that call, if you're hearing that call, I encourage you to head over to soundhealertrainingprogram.com. Once again, Christine and Barry, thank you so much. A deep bow of gratitude to both of you for showing up and sharing your wisdom and your beautiful hearts, and your music. Anything you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yes, when you were beginning, Barry, that great experience, I was thinking of this Radiant Sutra that I love. It says, there is a space in the heart where everything meets. The mind, the soul, the senses, all are here. Are you here?
Thank you, Christine. Thank you so much. That's gorgeous.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
Barry, any closing remarks?
I just wanted to thank the Shift for bringing us together and allowing me the time to get to know Christine more intimately in terms of the beautiful work that she's sharing in the world, and also, the Shift's quest to really share this on a much more mainstream level, and being present in the first certification program. Again, I was able to also see how people are really just getting so much out of it and are so hungry for this great information and implementing it in their life. And there's a great community around it as well. That's that I'm still reading all the amazing things even after the course that is rippling out into people's lives. So yeah, just thank you very much, and thanks for having both of us here.
Barry, it's such a pleasure to have you. And I will echo what you just said about the community. There's such a powerful community around sound healing, and in this training program, it's been beautiful to see these friendships formed, and and people from all around the world who are coming week after week to connect and deepen the relationship and support each other on this journey. So for all of you who have joined us today, thank you so much for your time and your attention. Thanks for showing up with your whole heart. It's really beautiful to feel you here, to have you here. Thank you so much. We hope that you will join us on this journey and be a part of this community. You can find out more at soundhealertrainingprogram.com. Thank you all very much.